All right, what's going on, everybody? How you doing? Welcome to a bonus Saturday episode of Talking Buffalo, your weekday daily driver for Buffalo Sports Talk and more. My name is Patrick Moran. Big thank you to everyone out there, as always, for watching, for listening, following, subscribing. I appreciate you guys very much. Like I said, this is a bonus Saturday episode. We didn't have an episode on Wednesday for Christmas or the day after. I was not feeling my best. But anyway, had Matt Milano on the show yesterday and decided that I wanted to have a bonus today because the Buffalo Bills have a football game tomorrow. Tomorrow, of course, being Sunday at Highmark Stadium against the New York Jets. So consider this your weekly Bills Jets preview. 3 Bills keys to victory. And I'll give you a spoiler alert because I love you guys right here at the top. The only real key for the Bills is to just show up and not play like complete dog shit. But we'll get into a little more specifics a bit later on. And then, of course, as always, my 3 bowl predictions and a final score guess for the game. This is a weekend episode. It won't be particularly long. I know I say that shit all the time, but at least by my standards anyway, this won't be a 50-minute or longer episode. I can almost promise you that. Anyway, of course, this is a rematch of a game played earlier this season. The Bills beat the Jets the first time out on Monday Night Football, 23-20. A very good game. Teron Johnson, play of the game late in the fourth quarter, a diving interception off Aaron Rodgers to seal that game. The star for the Bills back then was rookie running back Ray Davis. Spectacular game. He had 20 carries for 97 yards rushing. Also had 3 catches for 55 yards, so 152 yards from scrimmage. The New York Jets were going nowhere at that time, and they really went nowhere since. Just floundering around the league right now, just a 4-win football team on paper. This certainly looks like a gimme game for the Bills. But of course, we said the same thing last week, and the Bills held on for the proverbial life at home against the New England Patriots. So you never know. Anyway, for everybody who may have missed yesterday's show, who took a couple days off for Christmas, perfectly understandable. I hope that you had a very Merry Christmas, that you got to open up a couple gifts, that you got to spend some time around your loved ones, because ultimately, trust me when I tell you, man, that is what it's all about. Of course, Christmas Day NFL slate, as we talked about yesterday, certainly did not help the Buffalo Bills off the field. 2 key AFC games, neither of which went the Bills' way, although there are some silver linings in how things played out. But from a, boy, I'd love to get the number 1 seed, or boy, I would love to lock down the number 2 seed, both of which were in play at the start of Wednesday. One of them is gone for sure. The other one, the Bills still could do, but they're going to have to do it now on their own. Of course, the Kansas City Chiefs beat soundly, too. Let's put that word in there, soundly beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then the Baltimore Ravens went to Houston and just completely embarrassed and humiliated the Houston Texans. A disgraceful effort by the Texans. You got Beyonce halftime show in your stadium, and you're a Houston Texan, and you go out and you fucking play football like that. Just absolutely disgraceful. But anyway, the Buffalo Bills are out officially now as the number 1 seed. That's no longer in play. Which, by the way, if you really think about it, how wild is that shit? The Bills right now are 12-3. Am I right? 12-3. I don't want to give them the Jets win quite yet. So yeah, they're 12-3 with 2 games left, and they don't even have a chance to get the number 1 seed because the Kansas City Chiefs have only lost 1 time this entire season. Of course, that was to the Buffalo Bills. So the 1 seed, the dreams of that, and having a bye for week 19, that's off the table. They did not clinch because Houston, forget about winning. They didn't even give Baltimore a game. But anyway, the Bills don't clinch the 2. They certainly appear to be on a collision course with the Baltimore Ravens in the second round. For Baltimore to not win the AFC North at this point, they would have to not only have Pittsburgh lose to Cincinnati, which is certainly doable, but Baltimore would also have to lose at home to the Cleveland Browns. I got news for you, folks. That shit ain't happening. Now, I know Cleveland beat Baltimore earlier this season, but man, to beat Baltimore twice in your house when winning the division is in play, that's just not happening. So you can all but assure that Baltimore is going to win that division. And like I said, both teams will have a lot of work to do in the wild card round. Nothing in the NFL, especially in the playoffs, is ever given. But it sure seems like the Bills and the Ravens are on a collision course. And I'm not going to even talk, at least not today, I'm talking about here. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen ain't going to do that on this show. Is just the low hanging fruit, understandably so. Whoever you have for MVP, whoever you think deserves it, that's fine. But one thing for all the fighting and all the name calling and all the mudslinging, Bills Mafia throwing shade at Ravens Flock throwing shade and mud at Bills Mafia, these idiot national talking heads who change their mind, cause whiplash because you're going back and forth, changing your mind so much. All that stuff, different sides of the fence. But if there's one thing that I think everybody could agree on, Bills Mafia, Ravens Flock, and just fans of football around the league, a Baltimore Ravens, Buffalo Bills, Lamar Jackson versus Josh Allen playoff game in Orchard Park is going to be off the hook. Of course, if you're the Bills or the Ravens and you're looking for the path of least resistance, that shit ain't fun. But from a pure entertainment, best players on the field going at it against each other, football standpoint, that's going to be about potentially as good as it gets. And if it comes to that, one of those teams are going to win, and they will very likely get the right to go to Arrowhead and try to knock off the Kansas City Chiefs. I said it on the show yesterday. I'm going to say it again. You need, if you ain't already, put some respect on the Kansas City Chiefs name. And I get it. You're a Bills fan who's listening to this show. Hell, man, I don't try to hide it. I'm a Bills fan who's doing this podcast right now. I don't like it. I want to say this is just a lucky football team that's not really good, and they keep getting lucky, and the refs keep handing them the games. I want to say that, but objectively and with some intelligence, you just can't arrive at that conclusion. This is a great football team, folks, and it's crazy. I said it on the show yesterday. The Kansas City Chiefs this season have not scored 30 points in a single football game. The Buffalo Bills just ran off 30 points or more 8 straight weeks. 8 in a row. That's 8 more times than the Chiefs have done it all season long. And you know what? It doesn't matter because they're 15-1. 3 other teams in the NFL besides the Chiefs have failed to score 30 points this season. None of those other 3 teams have even won 4 games this year. Not even 4. The Kansas City Chiefs are 15-1, and they haven't scored 30 points this season. I laugh when I say that because it's almost freaking unbelievable, unfathomable to even say. Because here's the bottom line about the Kansas City Chiefs, and they don't get enough credit for this. We talk about Mahomes, especially here in Buffalo. We talk about Mahomes. Everyone talks about Travis Kelce, the Kelce Taylor Swift. People in Buffalo are constantly looking at Xavier Worthy. Should the Bills have taken him? Who's better, Worthy, Keon Coleman, blah, 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 blah. One thing we don't do enough of anyway is talk about this defense, how great this defense is. It carried the Kansas City Chiefs to the Super Bowl last year, quite literally. Quite literally. This defense is, again, it's not just good, it's great. What they did on Christmas Day against a Pittsburgh Steelers team that knew they had their hands full, against a Pittsburgh Steelers team that knew if they wanted to win the AFC North, they needed to find a way to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Desperate team. The Pittsburgh Steelers came into that game desperate on their home field for a win, and they couldn't do shit against the Kansas City defense. That defense is great. Oh, by the way, too, a Kansas City defense on Wednesday that didn't even play without Chris Jones. Not just their best player on defense, but one of the very best defensive linemen in the entire NFL. And Bills fans, of course, know that all too well. That defense just beat him up. It beat up Russ Wilson. He got sacked 5 times. Could have been 9 at least. So their defense is great. Sure. And they've had luck, plenty of it. They've had the benefit of some really lopsided officiating calls. I mean, we'll call it what it is here and there. That's part of it. It's undeniable. But all great teams have it. The 85 Bears, the Patriots that went undefeated in the regular season. You think they went out and they didn't get lucky a couple times? You don't think that they got some bullshit calls that went their way? It happens. That team, no matter what way you want to look at it, they are going to be a crazy, crazy hard out. Very likely again in the AFC Championship because they're going to get a bye. And the way Houston looks, which is, again, they're playing disgraceful football right now. You want to talk about a front-running team, a team that's really good when they got all their horses. But when some of those horses start to go down and teams like the Bills and the Chiefs constantly deal with major injuries and still find a way, when Houston gets those injuries, they fold like a tent. They fold like a tent. And whether Houston manages to somehow win a wild card game, whether it's going to be probably against Pittsburgh, maybe against the Chargers, that 4-5 game, whoever wins that game is going to go to Arrowhead, unless it's the Chargers. If it's Pittsburgh, which you just saw on Wednesday, especially if it's Houston, they're going to get stomped at Arrowhead. Basically, what I'm telling you is the AFC title is going to go through Arrowhead. If you're a Bills fan and you're looking for that right path, pray that the Chargers get the 5th seed and that the Chargers win in Houston because the Chargers are in that same division. They know how to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. They play them tough all the time. Both games this year were 1-score games. But anyway, just tip your cap, man. You just got to tip your baseball cap to the Kansas City Chiefs. They're a great team. I think there were silver linings, though, from this game. I hit on a little bit of them on yesterday's show. Even though it didn't go their way, the 1 seed's out. You still got to win for the 2. I think it's good for, first and foremost, for Bills Mafia. If you're going to the game on Sunday, you're going to be cold, the winter. You want to go to a game that means something. You're buying your ticket. You're investing in that game. You're investing in a tailgate more than likely. You want to go watch the Stars play. You ain't trying to go there and watch Mitch Trubisky for 4 quarters, handing the ball off to Ray Davis, throwing the ball when they do throw it to Matt Collins every down. You get what I'm saying. It would be like a preseason type game. If Houston won and the Bills had nothing to play for, you're basically getting probably anyway preseason football level from the Bills and the Jets for that matter on Sunday. So it's good for the ticket buyers if people are actually going to the game. If you care about stats, I think it's a good opportunity for a couple guys to try to hit some milestone numbers. Like, for an example, James Cook needs 72 yards to get to 1,000 yards for the year. Surely the Bills will be trying to get him that in this game. He's 1 rushing touchdown away from Josh Allen, what he did last year. Josh Allen, speaking of him, he needs 3 total touchdowns to get to 40 for, I think would be what, the 4th, 5th straight season. Anyway, you want to really cement your case for MVP. You get to that 40 total touchdowns and they need 3. So I could see that being a factor. If they had nothing to play for, maybe he doesn't even play at all. There's other stats as well, but those are the big ones that maybe you don't get the opportunity if the Bills already had clinched the number 2 seed. And then the last thing I think is a silver lining is it's just a real opportunity to kind of shake that stank off from last week, because the Bills beat the Patriots, but it was an ugly game. They kind of stunk. And I'm sure they'll be the first to say that as well. There was not a pretty football game, not for the faint of heart. you're a Bills fan, especially when you just rolled Detroit the week before, and again, you've been an absolute scoring machine, and the defense, at least at times, has played pretty well. Not a very pretty game. So this is a good opportunity for the Bills to go out, look really good against the Jets, lock down that number 2, feel good about yourself, and then get your starters that bye week basically to end the regular season before the wild card round. Before we take a break, real quick, Bills actual kind of news stuff. And I want to let everyone know too, I'm recording this episode for Saturday late on Thursday night. So if there's any developments injury wise or anything else for this game that happened on Friday, just know that I've already pre-recorded this. So this is as of late Thursday night. On the Bills injury front, Matt Milano, Rasul Douglas were both full participants at practice on Thursday. Rasul's been full Wednesday and Thursday. Milano was limited, even though they didn't have a practice. They estimated what he would be, and that was limited. But he was a full participant on Thursday in his normal white jersey, so contact. So full practice for those guys. Rapp, Hamlin, Cam Lewis is on there now, Curtis Samuel. All those guys were limited in red. I wonder if they're being a little overcautious at this point with Taylor Rapp and DeMar Hamlin, who've missed the last 2 games each. I say that because last week in practice report, both of them were limited. There was no DNPs at all for either guy during the week, but ultimately, of course, neither of them played. I still think maybe it's because they were playing the Patriots and Sean just figured he was not going to risk anything. He would be maybe even a little bit over conservative with them. And I'm wondering if that may be the case again on Sunday. If one of those guys can't go, or if either of them, neither of them can, this might finally be the spot for the 3rd week in a row. I say this, Micah Hyde could get a call up. They could call up Kareem Jackson. He's still got one more elevation left. He has been the guy the first 2 weeks. Logic probably says he would be the guy again. But again, Micah Hyde, if he's going to get called up, if you're going to get any kind of look at him, if you're even thinking about, if you're even considering having Micah Hyde on this active roster for the playoffs, you got to see him in action. And if it's not going to be now, and he's been with the team now since the bye, coming off the bye week. So if he's not getting a look now, if they bring someone up, then I don't think you're going to see him at any point. So we'll see how that plays out. As for Matt Milano, I've been preaching this all week and I will continue to. Most of these other guys get well, get healthy. And if you miss this game and next week, okay, it's fine. Matt Milano ain't that dude, though. If he's healthy enough to play, he's got to play. He's got to play not just this Sunday, but I think week 18, if the Bills, assuming they win this football game and they got that 2 locked up, and everyone else is either inactive or they're active because you got to have 47 guys, but they're not playing, Matt Milano's got to play. He has got to play. I don't care if he's literally the only listed starter on the field for the Buffalo Bills in week 18. He's got to play. You got to get a good read. If you're Sean McDermott, and I know he sees more than we see, I get that. But you have absolutely got to get a read for what he's doing on the field, where he is at in terms of his speed, awareness, physicality, ability to tackle and wrap, coverage, the whole shebang. You need to see where he is at over these next 2 weeks before you determine if him or Dorian Williams is going to give your football team a better chance to win in the wild card round. I don't care if it's Denver, Pittsburgh, Indy, God forbid Cincinnati, whoever it may be. You need to know if Matt Milano is going to be better and give your chance or your team a better chance to win than Dorian Williams. Based on what I saw on Sunday with Dorian Williams and the 3 weeks prior to that with Matt Milano, right now, my mindset is no. I don't think Matt Milano is the better linebacker right now today. But give me 2 weeks. Let me see him in action, and that could change my mind. And I would think that Sean McDermott is thinking that way as well. All right. Anyway, take a real quick break. Come back on the other side. We'll talk about the Jets. 3 keys to a Bills win, 3 bold predictions, and a final guess score. I hate talking about the New York Jets. I just want to put that out there. And more specifically, Aaron Rodgers. You know how I feel about him. He's just a lousy human being. Can't stand him. Can't stand this football team. I know everyone hates the Dolphins more than anyone else, but for some reason, maybe it's because of my family. I got so much family in New York and New Jersey, and just growing up having to hear them talk their shit. I've just always hated the New York Jets. So to see them at 4-11 and just a complete shit show brings a tear of joy to my eye. It really does. As for Aaron Rodgers, he's listed on their injury report, but he's playing. He's got a knee injury. He'll be playing. His partner in crime, well, at least his main one anyway, Devontae Adams, not so sure about that. He's got a hip issue, and he was a DNP both on Wednesday and on Thursday. Or I think he might have been limited Thursday. Anyway, Rich Simony, who covers the Jets, of course, said that he's more likely to play of some of the injured guys on Sunday. So we'll see how that plays out. But regardless, I would expect Aaron Rodgers for sure, maybe Adams to be out there. But even with them, look, this offense stinks, man. They've been bad. They're 24th this year in points scored. They're 15th in EPA per play. They're 18th in EPA success rate. They're 21st in rush EPA. And it's funny because this was supposed to be a football team that was going to be way better without Zach Wilson. I mean, this was a team with a borderline dominant defense. And the reason why they would only win 7 games is because the quarterback play sucked. And you get Aaron Rodgers and a couple other weapons, and it's like, well, just even okay to decent quarterback play, and this is going to be a playoff team. Well, guess what? They're not. They're a 4-11 team, and they've just been a mess. They've just been a mess. With any football team, when the offense stinks, it usually centers around the offensive line, and the Jets are certainly no exception. Aaron Rodgers has been sacked 33 times this year. By comparison, Josh just 14. He's been knocked down 49 times, 32 hurries. He hasn't been able to get the ball deep often. Aaron Rodgers only has 11 completions this year of 30 or more yards. Josh Allen almost has that doubled at 20, just 4 for more than 40 yards. One of them, by the way, the Hail Mary. God, can't believe we're talking about a Jets-Bills rematch, and I talked about the first game and even talked about the Hail Mary. But anyway, that was one of the plays. The offensive line is stunk, like I said. They're the 25th worst graded offensive line in the NFL per PFN. They're injured. Badly too. Olo Fosnu is on IR. He went on IR this week. He's their very promising rookie left tackle, so you won't see him on Sunday. Oliveira Tucker's hurt. Morgan Moses. Neither of them have practiced this week. So it's going to be a mash unit behind, or in front, I should say, of Aaron Rodgers on the offensive line. I think part of the problem with the Jets, too, has been since getting Devontae Adams, like that Rodgers, Adams, it's like hero brawl. They're trying to bring back like 2021 all over again. And you could tell, you see the comments, you see in the videos, Garrett Wilson is really frustrated, which, by the way, if they do trade him, get him out of the AFC. I think this guy is a potential top 5 receiver in the NFL, and I can't believe the Jets don't use him better. But anyway, not enough of him, not enough of Bryce Hall. Now you look at Garrett Wilson's numbers, he's got 90 catches for 987 yards. It feels like that's not close to enough for how good he is. There's certainly been a regression statistically with Hall this year, 774 yards, 4.1 yards per carry. Like, that's significantly worse, both areas, than James Cook. So that offense kind of stinks. The Jets defense, shockingly, is not good either. I mean, they're even worse than their offense. They're 26 in EPA. They're 26 in dropback EPA. They're 24th in rushing EPA. I mean, they pretty much stink all over the place. A couple good players. Will McDonald's turned into a great player. He's got 10 sacks this year. Quentin Williams has got 6. You know how good he is. Although he's not having a Quentin Williams year that we've seen in the past, which is elite. He's been good at times, really good, but I don't know that he's been elite this year. But anyway, you got those two guys and just a bunch of others who are underachieving. Hassan Reddick finally signed after that long holdout. He's played 8 games, got one half of a sack. By the way, he's on the injury report as well. He's mailed it in. He's mailed it in, just like a lot of these guys. Javon Kinlaw's like, meh. Sauce Gardner, who probably will not be playing on Sunday. He's missed practice both days this week, and from what I hear, not looking good. But anyway, he hasn't played that well. DJ Reed has not played it well either. So there's just a lot of big names on this Jets team, but no support around in other positions, no depth. And again, just a dysfunctional organization where a bunch of big name players and just no one seems to be playing their best, or maybe one or two guys are at a time. And then the guys are just falling off the earth. There's just no continuity. There's no chemistry. There's no balance with the New York Jets. Turning my attention real quick here to 3 Bills keys to victory. Like I said, I want to get you out of here shortly. I got 3 like I do every week. And again, honestly, the first one is probably all we would really need, and that's simple. Just a faster start and don't sleepwalk. Don't come out of the locker room. Don't come out of the tunnel in Orchard Park Sunday. The fans are going to be going nuts. And don't take the first quarter and a half off, basically like you did against New England last week. And you've done a couple other times this season at home as well. You got off to a really shitty start against Arizona. You almost paid the price for that. You got off to a really shitty start against the Tennessee Titans in Orchard Park, although you were able to overcome that rather easily. You get my point. This has been a team that's had some really slow starts this year, the Buffalo Bills, especially on the defensive side. So faster start without sleepwalking. Look, I've said it 100 times this show. The Jets fucking stink, okay? But they are more dangerous than the New England Patriots. I'll give them that much, okay? So you don't let these guys come out, the stars that actually are playing, don't let these stars have star type of huge games. Any given Sunday, and it goes, of course, without saying about, Devontae Adams, but like Garrett Wilson can carry this football team, and he played really good against the Bills the first time they played. Breece Hall you make a mistake, you don't fill a gap, your safety gets caught in the wrong angle or something like that, and bam, that could be a 75-yard house call. So Garrett Wilson and Hall, Quentin Williams on the defensive side of the ball, he's hugely capable, and we've seen it before of him dominating. Guys like I just said, Hassan Reddick is just collecting a paycheck at this point. He's a zombie. Let him stay a zombie. These guys are ready to run for the bus. So if you come out and you start fast, you get them down 7-0, or you get them down 13-3, something like that early on. I'm telling you, this is a football team with no guts, no character, and no heart, and they're going to run for the bus. So that's key one. Just don't fuck around and sleepwalk to start the football game. Number 2, get pressure on Aaron Rodgers. He will fold. He will fold. That offensive line in front of him, like we talked about, banged up, injured, and just not good. Not good at all. The Bills have been good at pressuring. Like last week, Drake May was running for his life a lot, but he was escaping sacks, making really good plays, improvising on the run. Aaron Rodgers will play because of that knee, but dude's old to begin with, so he's not that nimble, even when healthy, and he's not healthy. Get him moving. You'll get him to the ground. You will frustrate Aaron Rodgers. Convert some of those pressures into a few sacks, and I'm telling you, Aaron Rodgers, just like I said in point 1, he will be one of those guys who's just going to sit there, look angry. It's going to rub off on his teammates, and eventually it's just going to be a team that's running for the bus. So this is a really good week for that Bills defensive line to not just get pressure on Aaron Rodgers, but bring him down, get him to the turf. Guys like Von Miller, AJ Epinesa. This is a great opportunity for guys like that. And then the last point, which almost I have to look at my notes and say, what? Are you really saying that? Well, yes, I am. Attack a weak defense, a weak New York Jets defense. It just feels weird for me to say. A weak defense that's likely going to be down Sauce Gardner, And by the way, I should have mentioned with Quentin Williams, I've been hyping him up, talking about how great he is, and he is. But he's also been limited with practice with a hamstring injury. So again, he's not going to be full go if he even plays. And given the fact that they got 2 games left in the season, he might not even play at all. I wouldn't be stunned if he doesn't play at all, or if he does, if he's on a pitch count. So we'll see how that plays out. But regardless, whether he's out there or whether he's not, this is a defense that's weak. Attack him. Go back to the first game. The Bills only put up 23, but Josh threw for 215 yards. He had 3 total touchdowns, no turnovers last time out. I think he has a great chance to replicate that. And for what it's worth, if you do care about it, and I'm sure the Bills do, the offensive lineman chipped in and got him that MVP bling bling for Christmas. I'm sure Sean cares about it as well, even if he won't say it as much publicly. But this is probably Josh Allen's last chance to present his case to being MVP, because it's very likely he will play in week 18. Actually, I take that back. He probably starts week 18 because he's got the consecutive game streak going, but he'll probably come out, hand the ball off a couple times, and then give way to Mitch Trubisky against the Patriots, assuming they beat the Jets. But this is probably Josh's last opportunity to make a statement that he's been the MVP frontrunner for quite a while, and for good reasons. So he's going to look to get some numbers, and they're going to be opportunities galore, like I said, against a pretty weak New York Jets defense. So those are your keys to victory here. Again, just don't sleepwalk to start the game. Get some pressure on Aaron Rodgers and watch him fold, and just attack a weak defense and make it about Josh Allen. He's the best player on the field, and it's not close. 3 Bills bold predictions like we do every week here quickly. Number 1, Ray Davis at least comes close to replicating that first meeting earlier this season. And like I said, 97 rushing yards, 152 scrimmage yards. I think the Bills could get up. I think he's going to get fed the ball a lot. I think this is a defense that's not going to be very tough. And Ray Davis, if nothing else, is a very tough runner. And they're not going to want that smoke from him. I could see him having, maybe not 152 scrimmage yards, but I could certainly see him having 65 to 90, 95 rushing yards and a touchdown. So that's bold prediction number 1. Bold prediction number 2, I'm going to call an interception for Jamarcus Ingram, which quick little detour here, very quick side note. I want Rasul Douglas to play, and he's been a full participant on Wednesday and Thursday. He's missed the last 2 games, and they're probably not going to play him next week. So I'd like to see him at least get a little bit of work, even if it's just for part of the game, just to make sure that he's feeling it, that he's all the way back. But once he does, if they give way, or for whatever reason, they just decide to have an overabundance of caution and you don't play at all, really interested to see who Sean McDermott goes to first. Will it be Kyrie Elam, who's gotten the last 2 starts, or do they go to Jamarcus Ingram? Kyrie Elam was a disaster against the Patriots. And I said it last week, kind of will reiterate this now. I think Kyrie Elam's days contributing to the Bills, unless they really have no choice but to go to him, probably over. So anyway, all that to say this, my bold prediction is this: Jamarcus Ingram is going to get an interception. I just feel it in my bones. That's what these bold predictions are about. Things that I feel in my bones. Jamarcus Ingram, whether he starts or whether he plays as an out boundary corner, a nickel, a dime defender, whatever it may be, Jamarcus Ingram is going to have an interception. And then my final bold prediction, a big special teams play, a huge special teams play, finally will go the Bills' way. Most likely a Brandon Condrington house call, which, by the way, I nailed this last time. I said he was going to return a kick for a touchdown, and he did, but it got called back because of a Cole Bishop penalty. Made me look bad. Anyway, he's going to do it, and it's going to count. So it's either that, or I'm also envisioning a block punt for the Bills, not against them, on the table as well. But either way, huge special teams play. So there you go. 3 bold predictions, a sweet and sexy Ray Davis game, a Jamarcus Ingram pick, and a big Bills special teams play. Prediction time here. not going to beat around the bush and, lead up to who you might pick against the Bills. Nah, I ain't picking against the Bills, man. Bills 33, Jets 16. I think the Jets, for the most part, are just going through the motions. They're going to be ready to quit as long as you don't give them a ton of hope early. If you give them a bunch of hope early, they get to make a couple plays, they go down the field, they score early, might set a different tone. But if you just come out there and you suffocate them, they're ready to quit, man. They're ready to quit. I think the Bills want to make a statement. I think that they want to have Josh Allen have one more MVP caliber showcase, even if it's just 2 to 3 quarters. I think the Bills should roll the New York Jets, and there's just no reason not to. And I know I said the same shit last week, and it ended up being a dogfight. Not this time. Bills 33, Jets 16. All right, that's going to do it for this episode. I will be back Sunday night, live as always. Live instant reaction post-game show. Joe from Queens will be with me. The good, the bad, the ugly. We'll talk about all of it. Hopefully not nowhere near as bad and ugly as there was last week. But no matter what happens during the game, 10 p.m. live, Joe from Queens. Till then, enjoy the game.